Hey everyone, every pony, every person out there on YouTube. Today we are going to be learning how to make the Pinkie Pie Tsum Tsum, or as I call it, a pon pon. Now this is all hand created and designed by me. So some items you are going to need is some felt. So I have some dark pink, a lighter pink, some black felt, and you can pick it up at Michael's or Walmart. You're also going to need some sort of thread, and I use embroidery thread. Seems to be really easy enough for me, and they cost like 20 something cents. You're also going to need a pattern, and this is a pattern that I made myself. Don't mind that it says bad on it. First one is for the body, the second one is for the head and the back end of the Tsum Tsum. And then you're gonna need to make a design for the hair, and like I said, I designed this myself. It was trial by error. So I have the mane, the tail, and the ear, which looks like a little house. You're also gonna need a Sharpie and a needle for the thread to sew it all together. Now here comes the fun part of tracing. So what I did was I just laid down, my design. I took my Sharpie and then, make sure you have a nice side fabric on, the side you're not using a Sharpie on. And then you just trace your design. And I usually like to leave a little extra on the body because you'll see later on that I have to cut it. So I like to leave a little extra. And then, of course, for the head and the back end of the Tsum Tsum, you will need to cut out two pieces. So here I am doing one of the pieces, and then I'll have a second piece. So it's so much fun. This is probably like the easiest part of the whole thing. It really is. It's definitely the easiest part. So right here, you're gonna see me making another body because I do not want that extra black line to it just in case if it gets onto the body itself. You don't want to see that. And then we just end up cutting it all out. So now we are going to do the mane and the tail, and make sure you put the design upside down because you want the good side to not have black marker on it. You don't want it to be seen. You kind of want to cover that up and have it hidden. So we're doing the mane, and I'm just going around everything. And then we're gonna start tracing out the tail, which is the same thing, just put it on upside down. And my camera dies. Yeah. Alright, so now that everything's cut out, we're gonna start sewing this together. Now take that, pink that we have and just make a little knot in it there. Try to make a little knot, try to do a double knot. And we're gonna thread it. So now once you have your needle threaded, and oh hey, you can kind of see me in the glass, look at me. Alright, so what you're gonna do is you're going to put the two pieces together, and you're just gonna sew it. Just take it from the end and just sew it all the way into the middle. And when you pinch all of those pieces together and sew them all together, it actually makes it rounded. So that's why it has like those weird little cuts into them. It all makes sense. Trust me, this will all make sense. So then you just make a knot at the end and you trim it. And we're going to do another one. So it's the same idea. We're just gonna go ahead and do this piece here. And we're just gonna sew it all up. So what you're going to do now is you just want to do the last two ends. I just did two to show you what I did, and we'll get back to how it looks. Alright, so now that we have them both done, you just turn them inside out. Make sure you turn them inside out. If you forget, this whole thing is not going to come out right. So like I said, they give it that more rounded effect when you sew it like this. So now we're going to take the body, and the body we're just going to fold in half. Make sure you do the good side on the inside, and you're gonna just sew up that little spot right there. Doesn't have to be perfect, and sorry it's barely on camera. Hey pony, put it in the camera. Will I put it in the camera anytime soon? Alright, so you just keep sewing. Oh, there I go. So just keep sewing, and it doesn't have to be perfect because we're gonna cut this little piece off. We don't necessarily need it. And just knot it right at the end like I do everything else. now what you're going to do is you're going to take either, you know, one of the little top parts there, and you're going to put it in and try to make sure it's nice and even. I go all the way down and I try to go to the middle part. Just go into the middle of where the two parts you sewed. That makes any sense. And then you just start sewing it up. And what you're going to do is you're just going to sew it and keep sewing and go all the way around. Don't stop. Oh, I zoomed up a little closer to show you guys, you know, pinch the little two pieces together and just keep on sewing. And sewing. And this is probably the longest process out of the whole thing. Yeah, it's a pain. But just keep on sewing. So now that we have all of this sewn up, I'm just showing you how I kind of finish off when you do it round. Make sure you go in and out of both sides so that way there's no little gap. You don't want a little gap, you want it to be rounded all the way through. And then you just knot it off and trim it. Well, cut the string off. And then what you're going to do is, the reason why I say you have that extra is we're going to trim that top off so we can turn this inside out. You know, snip, 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 and it's off. And now turn it inside out. And it's kind of a pain. Come on, you can do it. There we go. And you kind of just make sure it's all out and flatten it up a little bit. Alright, so you can either fill it with these little plastic beads that I buy at my local craft store, or you can use rice, whatever is better for you. If you have rice laying around, go ahead and use rice. I'm just going to fill it with these plastic beads because, well, my craft store sells plastic beads. And the next thing you need is some stuffing. You can use old stuffing, you can use new stuffing. This stuff's pretty cheap at Walmart. You know, a couple bucks. And what costs more is those plastic beads. They are quite pricey. But rice is a great alternative. So what I do is just alternate, you know, fill it a lot with beads, then stuffing, beads and stuffing back and forth. So that way some of the beads will go throughout the whole thing and it's not just the top half that you feel the beads. And I just make sure it's all squished and nice and neat. So now we are going to sew it. So what I do is I try to make sure everything is stuffed in on the inside and then you just start sewing. And what this is doing, it's closing it up. That way none of the beads, none of the stuffing is going to come out. Once you get to the end of this, you do the same thing. You just knot it off. Just like that. Nice and tight so it stays pretty good, and just trim it. And well, yeah, there you have it. There's your pon pon. Yay! No, not really. It's more like a jelly bean, but no, we're gonna add the eyes, the ears, and everything else to it. So here we go, starting the ears. And it looks like a little house, and you kind of have to, like, pinch the ends and turn it in and try to make it look like a little ear. And I do apologize that I have black marker on the bottom. I did not pay attention when I cut out these little pieces. But, you know, it's okay. You just make sure you don't have any black showing. And then you just put the needle into one end, into the corner, as you can see where the stitching is, and then down through again, and that's it. You know, fix it a little bit, tighten it up however tight you want it. And we're going to do the same thing for the other ear. Just the same thing. We'll try to show you a little bit better on camera, but it's really tough to show this part on camera. You just pinch it, you know, just like that, and yep, that's all you gotta do. And then you just put in the thread through the bottom of this pon pon because you're not gonna see it once we get down to the end. So you can make a mess into the bottom of your pon pon as much as you want. You're gonna cover it up. You're not gonna see it. So once we get this last ear on, here we go, fix it, fix it. Oh, it's starting to come together. It kind of reminds me of Golem. I don't know why, and it's upside down. Yeah, my first tutorial, you know, I'm good. So now we're gonna put on the mane. And what I normally do is I don't go through the top of the mane. I try to go through a layer of the felt. Once you go through a layer of the felt, I don't know what I'm doing here. Yeah, don't mind me. Take your needle and just go through a layer of the felt. And what that's gonna do is still gonna hold the felt down, and you're not gonna see the thread at all. I learned this a hard way. It took me a little bit to figure that out. So my first pompones didn't come out as good as these ones, but I did end up fixing it. So we're gonna do all of that. And now that the mane's on, we're gonna start with the tail. And I use the same thread, not the soft, and you can barely see me doing this on camera because apparently I don't know how to do this right. All I'm doing is just sewing on the tail off camera because I'm silly. What am I doing? So all you do is just sew. Oh, hey, pony, move. There you go. Move it up so everyone can see it. And you just fix a little bit. I did mess up a little bit on this part because, you know, that's me. So you can see a little bit of the thread, like a big spot on it, but perfection takes a while, and tutorials for me are really hard to try to make perfection, but that's okay. So now we're just going to trim it, and there you go. You have your mane and your tail on. And now we're going to start with the eyes. You just take a little piece of black felt and you just make little round dots. Just take 2 little round dots, try to make them the same size. I didn't, and I had to cut another one so it was the same. And then you kind of put them to the bottom of your stitching, okay? And you take some of your black, as I'm trying to get it in there. You put it through, and you put it through again. Okay, and that's just gonna hold it on. And then you just make 2 eyelashes into the corner of the eye. And you make 1 eyelash. Make sure you don't tangle it on anything. And a second eyelash. Just like that. Oh yeah, not tangling it. And squish it down just a little bit to, you know, get the texture right. And we're gonna put on the other eye. And you're gonna do the same thing. You just put it through and through again. And you're gonna do those 2 eyelashes. Just like that. And you're going through, it's a little tough because you do have the beads in there now. It's a little bit tough. And then you just squish it around. And yep, there you go, tie your little knot there. And then your eyes are done. They look like Tsum Tsum eyes. And, well, okay, now I'm just snipping it. Alright, so now we're going to start on the belly and the feet. And this is where we're finishing up. This is why I said you can make a complete mess and it doesn't matter. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut a piece out that's going to fit a little bit over the stitching of the head and the back end of the Tsum Tsum. And once you have it cut down to a perfect size, you're then going to round out the edges a little bit. That way it doesn't look too pointed or stiff. You're going to have it nice and rounded out. And see, it just covers it nice and neat. And now we're going to do the little feet. You're just going to cut up 4 strips. And then you're going to take these little strips and you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to trim them and round them out to make like little feet. I get picky sometimes because I'm like, okay, are they too big? Are they too small? But it's kind of up to how you want it to look. Do you want them a little bit bigger? Do you want them a little bit longer? Size doesn't matter. I guess give it a little bit of length so that way when you cover it, you have something to sew up. So I'm just going to finish up these last 2 feetsies here and we can get to sewing the rest of it up. Alright, so now we are going to put a couple of the feet on. I usually just put 2 on. I suggest not putting all 4 on. So just put 2 on and then you take your fabric and you put it on and then you just start sewing. I always start from the back end first. Seems to always work better that way. You just start from the corner, you keep going around, and when you're going to start going through the little foot, start from going behind the foot Yeah, I always get tangled around the tail. Once again, around the tail. Alright, so go behind the foot. Well, actually, go in front of the foot and then behind the foot. And what you're going to do is you're going to secure that down so it is not going to fall out. It will be in there. It will stay in there. You'll be good. And after I'm done sewing up this little bit of the foot, we're just going to, you know, finish it and we'll get back to you. Alright, so here's the finished product. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Oh, look at this. I love it. It's adorable. So there you have it. This is the finished product. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. And look forward to more videos in the future. Bye, everyone. Woohoo!